Chairman, and thank you for holding this this hearing. And Secretary, it's always good to be with you. It's good to see you again. I'm reminded that our friendship goes back to our days as governor in 2005, that we really knew each other, knew quite well when you had Katrina, and you graciously took all the hundreds of thousands of people from Louisiana and Mississippi and helped them, and we were able to send troops down and also send C-130s and assist, and we've been hooked together ever since. Also, you've been quite busy fulfilling all your promises and commitments to, in a bipartisan way, to visit all the states you have, and I want to thank you too, because you came to West Virginia and you looked at what we had and what we did at some of the power plants that we have, and also NETL, the National Energy Technology Lab in Morgantown, which is working on the clean coal technology, which I think Senator Brasso had asked you about, and I appreciate your commitment on that, and using the great coal that we have in our state in a much cleaner fashion and looking for different technologies there. Also, the storage hub, which we'll talk about, and also the rare earth elements, which we have found that we're able to extract and be self-sustaining here in America. Those are very important that NETL has been leading the charge on, and you've been very supportive. What I would like to ask you about is the Title 17 loan guarantee program from the DOE. And I know it had been recommended to be phased out, but there's still an awful lot of mileage left there. I think there's about $8.5 billion in authority left for the fossil projects on clean coal technology, but also the storage hub, which is extremely important to us and I think the security of our nation. So I think, first of all, your concerns about the program being eliminated, despite its strategic importance, and also do you agree, disagree on that program and what we can do to make it even more stronger?
Yes, sir. Senator, thank you for your longtime friendship. And just as an aside, I'll say that coming to your district, sitting down with you and Senator Capito, the leadership over at the University of West Virginia, and the governor's office, economic development folks in that community, really turned on a bright light for me from the standpoint of how to develop that region of America who's sitting on top of the Marcellus and the Utica and that huge gas deposit, and creating a duplicative national security of a refining capability and petrochemical. It was a really important trip for me. To the LPO, the loan office, I think the key words from my perspective in a realistic way is phasing out. There are billions of dollars there that have already been appropriated that, I think that we could certainly, with your guidance, use in a very thoughtful way that can affect a lot of citizens in a positive way. I think I'm not going to try to get into anybody's head other than to say that if this committee and Congress collectively decides to go forward with that program, that we will operate it with the type of oversight and transparency and the results that you all will be proud of.
Secretary, also I want to talk to you about, you and I have spoken directly on this, the storage hub for the national security of our nation, but also with the tremendous find of new resources we have in the fracking that we have done, West Virginia, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania. Been tremendous boom for our energy independence, if you will. With that, we have promoted a storage hub, which will give us the product and keep it in a very safe location, also strategically away from our weather-torn areas, such as your state gets hit quite frequently, and so does Louisiana. I didn't know what you all are doing towards that and how your support, or do you feel that it would be a great strategic direction for our nation?
Yeah. As the governor, I'd wake up in August and September and say a little prayer that a Category 5 hurricane did not come up the Houston Ship Channel. I'd seen that model before, and it's devastating, not just in the number of people that lose their lives, which is obviously at the top of your concern list, but the devastation that it does to the country's petrochemical capacity. To have a duplication of that in a region of the country that is protected from that type of a natural disaster would be, I think, invaluable. So duplicating that in that Appalachian region, Pennsylvania, Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia, not only in an area that economically could certainly use the shot in the arm, sitting on top of the great natural resources of the Marcellus and the Utica, can transition a region of America that would be very pleasing economically.
Well, your
as well.
support, I will say this, Department of Energy support and the administration's support is going to be vitally needed for this to be accomplished, but it is something I think that's drastically needed. The economic impact is $36 billion, almost at the turn of the switch, but on top of that, the security of our nation. And, sir, your attention to this is greatly appreciated.
We are going to be focused on it like a laser, and you're absolutely correct from the standpoint of this is one of the projects that I've seen that the government can help with and actually not have to fund. I mean, the private sector will supply the funding. They just want to make sure that the permitting processes and the ability to get done what we're asking them to get done can be done as expeditiously as possible. Yes, sir. Thank you.